Hey everyone, so thank you so much for helping me hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I really appreciate all the kind words and support throughout these past few months. It's been about a year since I started this channel, and I hope to continue making videos for you all for many years to come. So to commemorate this milestone, I asked some people to send in some questions. I got a lot of questions, so I won't be able to answer every single question that was asked, so I apologize in advance for that, but I picked out a good variety for me to cover for today. So first question by Twastel: what inspired you to start making YouTube videos, and did you ever expect to be this successful? So quick answer for the second part, no, definitely not. So what started it was I was chatting with my buddy Palmer's Up on strategies for regionals for Silph Arena in the first season. I was really pushing Lugia to use as my fly for my team, even though through simulations and all the rankings it just didn't seem like it was going to work well. And so I remember I was having a discussion with him and said, you know, if I sweep my regionals, then I will make a YouTube video. I remember using Lugia in every single one of my lines, and I ended up sweeping it, so that's pretty much how my first video came out. So I first started playing Pokemon probably when I was around elementary school or so, when Red and Blue came out. So I had Red, Blue, and Yellow on the Game Boy Color for the main series game, and then I also had Silver. And I unfortunately just stopped playing since then because I wasn't able to get a Game Boy Advance back then. I got back into Pokemon really when a lot of people were talking about Pokemon Go and how great of a game it was, so I decided to try it out myself, and I was pretty much instantly hooked within the first 24 hours. For a main series game, I would say probably Silver. I just like the variety on top of the Pokemon from the first generation, and also the grind to get a Gyarados in Silver was definitely not as hard as it was in the first generation. I personally have always enjoyed the human-to-human competition more than human versus computer and stuff like that, and so this really kind of was right up my alley. Do I speak Mandarin? I do, very poorly, and I definitely can't read or write in Chinese either. I would say team battles, 2-on-2 battles. Of course, there's a lot of lag issues and a lot of server issues that probably need to be addressed first, but I think the team aspect of in-game PvP would really change the dynamics of PvP as a whole. I had a lot of questions about my thought process behind making teams, especially AntiMeta teams. I'll say long story short, it's really experimentation. Sometimes the team works better than I expect, but I would say the vast majority of the time the team does not, and I end up failing a lot. So I would say my advice for people wanting to build anti-meta teams and try new things, the first thing to start is really looking at the meta and seeing what you can do to counter what's most commonly used. And I would say the second thing is really not being afraid to lose. Losing is a very important part of the process because it really helps you identify weaknesses and how you can make adjustments to your team. I would say for my favorite off-meta team that I came up with was definitely the Skarmory and Double Grass team. It was just a lot of fun to play, especially early on when everyone was using a very similar meta. And I would say one that didn't quite work out was using Breloom and Ultra League. I dropped probably like 400 points doing that, and it didn't help me at all. If there weren't any health concerns for food, I would say it's a toss-up between sushi, medium rare steak, or these sour cream and onion vegan chips. They are literally the best chips I've ever had. I'm not even vegan either, and they taste amazing. What's my approach to practice? So I would say for Go Battle League, I don't really practice too much outside the actual battle, so I like to experiment with the actual sets I have. I personally don't look at sims as often as probably many other players, mainly because some of the simulations don't really mimic what can happen in a real life setting. And for the Silph Arena Cups, I actually do some practice battles with some of my scrimmage partners, just because for those it's kind of hard to test out on the day of the tournament. Got a few questions about cats. So what are the names of my cats? One of my cats' name is Cheggy, and the other one is Cranberry. How many of my subscribers are because of my cats? I'm not really sure, but I do get quite a few comments about my cats every video, so I'll say maybe quite a bit. Why are cats the best pet? I'd say they're cute little pumpkins. How am I combating toxoplasmosis? I don't know. I might be dying from it right now. Least favorite meta Pokemon to use, I would say, is Alolan Marowak. I just don't know how to use it well. I personally hate the baiting that's necessary sometimes with Bone Club versus Shadow Ball. Most favorite meta Pokemon, I definitely say, is Meganium. I love the bulk on it, and then also the ability for it to take out tanks as well as waters. And then Pokemon that's on the cusp of being great, I think Dunsparce definitely has some opportunities there, but I think it just needs a better fast move. So for my job, I'm a communication specialist for a global health organization, and we work primarily with neglected tropical diseases and help provide treatments and medication for people that don't have access to it. And I am from the States. I live in Georgia. I'd have to say it would probably be Mew, just because there's so many different movesets, and it could be really interesting to see how much damage it dishes out. Having extra Mew would also allow it to be used in different leagues. I think for team building, you really could just build one team for each league and really hone in on the skills for those teams. However, if there's a big moveset update, I'd say that's a big reason to change up your team. And then also, if there's any big meta shifts based off of content creators creating lineups that are being shared, then that's another reason to potentially change your lineup. I do Olympic weightlifting. I also coach a local university's team in Olympic weightlifting. boxing, and so I would say they probably don't like my workouts as much as some people like my Pokemon lines on YouTube. I binge a lot of TV shows, and I also play some guitar from time to time. How did I come up with the Skarmory double grass line? It really was after I was playing with Nemo Bloodstorm. He was using Skarmory with Swampert and Whiscash, so I wondered if double grass can potentially work, and I gave it a shot, and it ended up working out pretty well. The Bastion, Banette, Meganium line, that was really because I invested in a Shadow Banette. I was trying really hard to figure out a way to utilize it because I spent so much resource already, so I kind of forced that line, but it ended up working out pretty well, and I apologize for them being the bane of House Stark's existence. Favorite Pokemon to use would definitely be Lugia. It was pretty much my claim to fame, but I also understand a lot of the matchups of it pretty well. And related to Lugia, if I could add any move to it, I'd give it Shadow Claw as a fast move. It'd be pretty strong with Shadow Claw, but especially at Great League, it definitely have a little more balance. To design a specific move for it, I would say the more damage it takes, the more damage it ends up doing. I know Lucario has some type of move like that in the Super Smash Bros. Game. I'm not sure if there's an actual move in the main series game for Pokemon on it. As an underrated skill, I would definitely say understand the ins and outs of the team that you're using. It's very easy to kind of copy a lot of people's teams and try to run it, but I would say for those that take the time to understand a team and how it works, will often do better overall. Jacob or Edward, I personally have not ever seen any of the Twilight movies, so cannot commentate. The only really vampire series I watched was True Blood, and so I gotta say it's Godric. If I had to rank the THTH cast from best to worst, I'd say it start with Frankie and everyone else doesn't matter, so that's your answer. I got a few questions from my teammates, the Cool Cats. So 3 Monside Nerf will probably be Giratina in Ultra League, Dialga in Master League, and Azumarill in Great League. My favorite food is probably sushi. Final question, when am I starting a Patreon? I should have something set up by the end of the month at the very latest, but hopefully sooner than that. So thank you all so much for watching and supporting my channel throughout this past year. Honestly, this is definitely one of the most supportive communities I've ever been a part of, and I really look forward to creating future content for you all. As always, if you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share, subscribe for future content, and I'll see you all next time.